You don't have to be ashamed anymore. There's a moment, usually late at night, when everything's quiet. The world is asleep. The lights are off, and you're alone with your thoughts. Maybe you've had a long day. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe you're just bored. And there it is again, that pull, that itch, that whisper in the back of your mind. Just one more time. No one will know. You fight it at first. You scroll past it. You try to distract yourself. But slowly, the resistance fades and the routine begins. And after it's over, after the screen goes black and the sounds stop, all that's left is the silence and the guilt, that heavy, familiar shame that wraps around your chest like a chain. You close the tab, but you can't close what's happening inside your mind. Maybe you've told yourself 100 times, this is the last time. Maybe you even made promises to yourself, to God, maybe to someone else. You meant it. You were sincere, but somehow you're back again. Not because you're weak, not because you're evil, but because this thing is more than a bad habit. It's an addiction. And it's not just hurting your screen time. It's hurting you. Most people don't talk about this. In fact, it's probably the most secret pain in the world. We talk about drugs, about alcohol, about violence, but nobody talks about this. The kind of pain that lives in silence, behind closed doors, on locked screens, in hidden browser histories. The kind of pain that smiles in public and cries in the dark. You see, porn doesn't just affect your body, it breaks your spirit. It disconnects you from real intimacy, from real connection. It tricks your brain into craving fake pleasure while your soul is starving for something deeper. You start to feel numb. You lose motivation. You stop enjoying simple things. And every time you fall again, you feel like you're losing a piece of yourself. You might even start to believe that this is just who you are now. That maybe you're broken. That maybe you'll never be free. You look at others and wonder, how are they so normal? How do they live without this? What's wrong with me? But let me tell you something that no one else might have the courage to say. You are not your addiction. You are not filthy. You are not disgusting. You are not weak. You are human, and you are hurting. And the truth is, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world are silently suffering in the same prison, struggling with the same shame, fighting the same cycle, and most of them are terrified to admit it because they think no one would understand. But you're here, listening, watching, searching. And that means something inside you hasn't given up. That small voice in you, the one whispering, there has to be more than this. That voice is your strength. That's your light. That's the part of you that still believes in healing, in change, in freedom. And you can be free. This is not going to be a lecture. I'm not here to shame you. I'm not here to make you feel worse than you already do. I'm here to help you remember who you were before this took over. I'm here to help you fight back. Because yes, this is an addiction, but it is beatable. And no matter how long you've struggled, how many times you've failed, or how deep the hole feels right now, there is a way out. 1. Admit the truth to yourself. Before healing begins, before change is even possible, one thing has to happen. And it's not easy, it's not dramatic, no one else will see it, but it's the most powerful moment in your journey. The moment when you finally admit the truth to yourself. Not just whisper it, not excuse it, not justify it, but face it. Raw, direct, honest. The truth that this thing you've been doing in secret, the thing you've been calling just a habit, just stress relief, just for fun, has grown into something deeper, something darker, something that's now controlling you. That's the truth. You don't watch it, it watches you. You don't control it, it controls you. It calls you when you're weak, it lures you when you're tired, and every time you try to resist, it laughs. That's not a habit. That's an addiction. And until you say that, not out loud, not to others, but to yourself, you'll stay stuck. Because denial is the oxygen addiction breathes. Denial makes you feel like it's not a big deal, that you can stop anytime, that other people are worse, that you're still fine. But deep down, you know you're not. Because when it ends, and you're sitting in the dark, sweaty, numb, disappointed in yourself again, you feel it. That pit in your stomach, that ache in your soul, that crushing thought, why do I keep doing this to myself? You feel it in your confidence. You don't look people in the eye the way you used to. You feel it when you're with someone you love, and suddenly your mind flashes with images you never asked for. You feel it in your goals, how your motivation fades, your energy drains, your creativity dies. You feel it when you're lying in bed, wondering why you're so tired, so empty, so disconnected. And here's the scary part. You can keep ignoring that feeling. You can keep pretending it's not that bad. But it will grow. Slowly, quietly, day by day, it will steal more of your attention, your time, your joy, your future. Addiction doesn't take everything overnight. It takes it little by little until one day you wake up and wonder where all the years went. That's why this first step, admitting the truth, is everything. Not because saying it out loud fixes everything. It doesn't. But because it breaks the spell, the illusion, the lie that says, I'm fine, this isn't a problem, I can stop whenever I want. The truth is, if you could stop whenever you wanted, you would have by now. The truth is, this thing has you in chains, and pretending you're free won't set you free. So be honest. Say it to yourself when no one's around. Say it with a shaking voice. Say it even if it breaks your heart. Say it even if you're afraid of what it means. Say, I have a problem. Say, this is not who I want to be. Say, I'm tired of lying to myself. Say, I need help. Because that moment, the moment when your ego dies and your truth stands up, that's the moment everything starts to shift. That's the moment you stop living in denial and start moving toward freedom. You don't need to tell the world. You don't need to post about it. You don't even need to tell your closest friend yet. But you do need to tell yourself. You need to stop hiding behind jokes, behind excuses, behind filters and fake smiles. You need to look in the mirror and see what's real. Because when you see it, really see it, you'll start to understand how much of your life is being stolen. And not just time, but peace, joy, purpose, love, intimacy, passion, focus. The things that actually make life worth living. You deserve to feel alive again. But that starts by facing the parts of you that feel dead. You're not weak for admitting it. You're not broken for struggling. You're brave for finally facing it. You're strong for finally choosing truth over comfort. Because comfort keeps you trapped. But truth, even when it hurts, sets you free. And yes, it will hurt. It might break you for a day. But from that breaking comes rebuilding. From that collapse comes clarity. And from that honesty comes hope. Because now, for the first time, you're not pretending anymore. You're not running. You're not covering up. You're facing it. And anything you can face, you can fight. Anything you can fight, you can overcome. There's a quote that says, "You can't heal what you won't reveal." That's exactly what this is. When you admit the truth, you shine a light on the darkness. You expose the chains. And when you expose them, you can start breaking them. So if you're watching this right now, and your heart is racing and your throat feels tight and your eyes are stinging, don't run away. Stay here. Stay in this moment. Don't let the shame pull you back. Don't let the guilt shut you down. This isn't about blame. This isn't about punishment. This is about freedom. The kind of freedom that only comes when you stop lying to yourself. The kind of freedom that only begins when you say, enough is enough. So say it. Say it right now, even if only in your heart. I have a problem. I want to be free. Say it and mean it. Because this moment of truth is the first day of your new life. 2. Understand the damage it does. If you want to break free from something, you have to stop romanticizing it. You have to stop pretending it's harmless, that it's normal, that it's not a big deal. You have to stop saying everyone does it as if that makes it okay. You have to stop calling it a guilty pleasure and start calling it what it really is, a source of real damage. Because that's the truth about porn. It's not just pixels on a screen. It's not just a private escape. It's not just something I do sometimes when I'm bored. It's a drug, a silent one, a digital one that slips in quietly and leaves a mark that most people never see, but you feel it every single day. It rewires your brain. The science is undeniable. Porn changes your dopamine system. It floods your brain with artificial pleasure. It overstimulates you. And over time, your brain becomes desensitized to normal things, to beauty, to laughter, to touch, to real human connection. Suddenly, the things that used to make you happy feel dull. The joy you used to feel in life feels numb, and you don't even know why. But this is why. Because porn hijacks your reward system. It teaches your brain to chase high-intensity, instant pleasure. And when real life doesn't measure up, you disconnect. You get irritated. You lose focus. You get bored easily. You feel tired all the time. You lose motivation. You lose drive. You lose yourself. And that's just the beginning. Porn damages your relationships. Even if you're not in one yet, it distorts how you see people, how you see love, how you define intimacy. It teaches you to see others not as souls but as objects, not as hearts but as bodies. You start looking at people as something to consume, not someone to connect with. You start comparing real-life interaction to what you see on a screen, and nothing compares. So you withdraw, you isolate, you fantasize instead of feel, you desire without depth. You touch without tenderness. And if you're in a relationship, the damage runs even deeper. Porn kills trust. It breeds secrecy. It creates distance. You may tell yourself it doesn't hurt anyone, but it does. It hurts the person who loves you, but doesn't know what you're hiding. It hurts the conversations that stop happening. It hurts the intimacy that starts fading. And most of all, it hurts you. Because even when you're with someone, you're still alone. Porn damages your confidence. You might not realize it at first, but every time you indulge, a piece of you shrinks. You lose self-respect. You stop believing you're strong. You feel ashamed. You feel addicted. You feel fake. You show up in the world, but you know you're not fully there. You walk around with a secret weight, and it eats at you. You look in the mirror and see someone who keeps falling. Someone who keeps saying, "This is the last time," and never means it. Someone who looks strong on the outside but is quietly breaking on the inside. And that internal fracture, it shows up in how you speak, how you walk, how you carry yourself, how you believe in yourself or don't. Porn chips away at your self-worth, slowly, silently, until you begin to believe the lie that you'll never be better than this. Porn also steals your time, not just the hours you spend watching it, but the hours you spend recovering from it. The hours you lose to regret, the energy you waste feeling guilty, the momentum you kill, the morning routines that get destroyed, the nights you stay up too late, the weekends you plan to be productive but weren't. Every session ends, but the consequences stay. And here's what makes it even worse. You know this. You know how it affects your sleep. You know how it leaves you drained. You know how your mood drops, how your day collapses, how your goals fade. You know it. And yet, the cycle repeats. Because porn doesn't just damage you, it deceives you. It tricks you into thinking, this time will be different. This time I'll feel better. But you never do. You feel worse. Every single time. And eventually the damage becomes so normal that you stop seeing it. You accept the fog. You normalize the numbness. You settle for a life where you're not fully present, just surviving, just existing. But you don't have to. You don't have to live in this damage. You don't have to keep paying this price. You don't have to keep handing over your peace, your power, your potential to pixels. You are not a machine. You are not a slave to stimulation. You are not someone meant to live behind a screen, chasing a fake high that keeps you empty. You are human, and you are hurting. But understanding the damage is the first step toward healing it. When you stop pretending porn is harmless, you start seeing it for what it really is, a thief, a liar, a parasite that feeds on your purpose and gives you nothing real in return. It doesn't love you. It doesn't care about you. It will never make you happy. It only makes promises and breaks every single one. So open your eyes, not to shame yourself, but to empower yourself. Because when you know the damage it's causing, you can finally say, no more. When you feel the pain clearly, you'll finally stop choosing it. When you understand how deeply it's been affecting your mind, your heart, your spirit, you'll finally be ready to take back your life. And once you truly understand what porn has taken from you, you'll be willing to fight like hell to get it back. 3. Break the shame loop. There's something more dangerous than porn itself, and that's the shame that follows it. The hidden weight, the silent storm, the voice in your head that whispers, "You're disgusting, you're broken, you're weak, you'll never change." That voice is not your conscience. That voice is your prison. And the truth is that shame is the very thing keeping you addicted. Because here's how the cycle works. You fall, you give in, you watch it, you finish, and immediately the guilt hits. You feel worthless, ashamed, dirty. You hate yourself. You say, "What's wrong with me?" Why did I do this again? You promise yourself it's the last time. You swear you'll change, but the shame keeps growing. It weighs on your heart. It drains your energy, and soon enough, you feel numb, empty, in pain. And how do you escape that pain? You run back to the very thing that caused it, and the loop begins again. Porn, guilt, shame, escape, porn, guilt, shame. This is the shame loop, and it's not just emotional, it's chemical. Your brain links pain with pleasure. The more ashamed you feel, the more your brain craves relief. And because you've trained your brain to find relief in porn, the very thing you hate becomes the thing you run to for comfort. It's a trap, and shame is the bait. But here's what no one tells you. You cannot shame yourself into freedom. You cannot hate yourself into healing. You cannot beat this addiction by constantly telling yourself that you're disgusting. In fact, the more you do that, the deeper you sink. You don't need more guilt. You need grace. You don't need more punishment. You need perspective. You don't need to be harder on yourself. You need to be more honest and more compassionate. Because addiction doesn't grow in love. It grows in silence. It grows in secrecy. It grows in the shadows of shame. And when you bring those shadows into the light, when you stop running, stop hiding, and say, I'm struggling, but I'm not giving up, the shame loses its power. You're not the only one fighting this. Millions of people, strong, talented, loving, gifted people, are battling the same thing. And do you know what makes the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise? It's not willpower. It's not perfection. It's grace. The ones who break free are the ones who stop hating themselves. The ones who learn to say, yes, I messed up, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure. Yes, I fell, but that doesn't mean I can't rise. Yes, I'm in a battle, but that doesn't mean I'm losing. They stop defining themselves by their worst moments. You are not your addiction. You are not your last mistake. You are not the number of days you failed. You are the decision you're making right now to face this, to heal, to grow. That is what defines you. So how do you break the shame loop? First, speak to yourself with compassion. Talk to yourself like someone you love. Would you call your best friend disgusting if they were struggling? Would you tell your little brother he's broken if he made a mistake? No. You'd comfort them. You'd support them. You'd remind them of their worth. Do the same for yourself. Second, learn to separate your behavior from your identity. Watching porn is something you did, not who you are. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong. That's the lie. And it's time to stop believing it. You are not something wrong. You are someone hurting, someone who's trying. Someone who's showing up and fighting for their freedom. That's who you are. Third, open up. Shame grows in silence. But when you talk to someone, a friend, a mentor, a therapist, a support group, that shame starts to crumble. Because suddenly you realize, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. And in that moment, the lie loses its grip. The longer you keep this buried, the heavier it gets. But the moment you share it, even if your voice shakes, even if you cry, you'll feel it. A weightlifting, a door cracking open, a bit of light seeping in. And lastly, forgive yourself. You may have fallen 1,000 times. You may have broken promises. You may feel unworthy. But freedom is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about saying, I will not let this addiction define the rest of my life. I will not stay down. Forgiveness isn't just for others. It's for you. So let go of the self-hate. Let go of the punishment. It's not making you stronger. It's only keeping you trapped. And here's something beautiful. The more you forgive yourself, the more strength you'll have to change. Not because you're soft, but because grace is the greatest motivator of all. When you believe you're worth saving, you fight harder. When you believe you're still valuable, you don't give up. When you believe you can be clean, you start walking like you already are. So break the loop. Shame will try to follow you. It will whisper, you're hopeless. It will remind you of every failure, every secret, every moment you felt weak. But you look it in the eye and say, yes, I fell, but I'm not staying here. Yes, I messed up, but I'm still moving forward. Yes, I'm in a fight, but I'm not fighting alone. And I will win this, one day, one step, one breath at a time. Because shame only has power if you give it silence. But when you speak, when you feel, when you open your heart to healing, shame breaks. And when shame breaks, addiction loses its grip. 4. Identify your triggers. If you want to win a war, you have to understand your enemy. And when it comes to breaking free from porn addiction, one of the most powerful steps you can take is to identify what triggers you. Because the urge doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's not random. It follows patterns. It responds to signals. And the moment you start noticing those signals, the moments, moods, thoughts, and situations that lead you to fall, is the moment you start regaining control. Addiction doesn't begin with the screen. It begins with what happens before the screen. Maybe you've never asked yourself, why do I watch porn? You just do. It's automatic. But take a moment right now. Dig deep. What usually happens before you feel that urge? Is it boredom, loneliness, rejection, stress, anxiety? Is it a bad day, a late night, an argument with someone you love? Is it scrolling on social media and seeing something that crosses the line? Is it staying up too late with nothing to do? Is it walking into your room knowing no one's watching? These are not excuses. These are triggers. And if you don't recognize them, they'll keep controlling you. You see, triggers are like doorways. You don't fall into addiction. You walk through a series of open doors that lead there. Identifying those doors gives you the power to stop walking down that hallway. So let's talk practically. Start with your patterns. When do you usually feel tempted? Morning? Night? After school? After work? Is it tied to your sleep schedule? Your meals? Your routines? Start tracking it. Literally, write it down if you have to. Every time you feel the urge, ask yourself, what happened in the last 30 minutes? What was I thinking about? What was I doing? You'll start to see the dots connect. Maybe you always fall when you're alone in your room with your phone. Maybe you always feel weak after scrolling through a certain app. Maybe your trigger is silence, or sadness, or a specific memory. Maybe it's when you feel overwhelmed. Maybe it's when you feel nothing at all. And then there are environmental triggers. Your room, your phone, your laptop, that app, that website, that time of day, that song, that outfit, that movie scene. These aren't innocent. They're loaded. They're part of the pattern. And ignoring them doesn't make them harmless. It just makes you vulnerable. So change your environment. If your phone is the main trigger, charge it outside your bedroom. Set up filters. Block the websites. Unfollow the accounts. Delete the apps. Move your furniture. Make it hard to fall, not easier. Don't tempt your future self just because your current self feels confident. Prepare for your weakest moments, not just your strongest ones. And then there are emotional triggers, the ones buried deep. Maybe porn became your way of numbing pain, escaping anxiety, avoiding depression, filling the loneliness, silencing the chaos in your mind. Maybe when you feel worthless, porn gives you a momentary high. Maybe when you feel rejected, it makes you feel wanted, even if it's fake. Maybe it's not about lust at all. Maybe it's about pain. And if that's true, then porn isn't just a problem. It's a symptom. So go deeper. What are you really craving when you reach for that screen? Is it comfort? Is it connection? Is it power? Is it validation? Is it escape? Once you understand that, you can begin to replace it with something real. Because here's the truth. The urge to watch porn is not the enemy. The urge is just a signal that something inside you is unhealed, unprocessed, or unmet. And when you stop judging the urge and start understanding it, you gain power. You learn to pause. You learn to say, wait, I'm not just horny, I'm hurting. I'm not just curious, I'm lonely. I'm not just bored, I'm running. And in that pause, even if it's only 3 seconds long, is a window of power. A moment where you can choose something different. You can take a walk. You can message a friend. You can pray. You can scream. You can journal. You can breathe. You can cry. You can sit in the discomfort and realize that you don't have to escape it. The more you track your triggers, the less power they have. And when you fall, because sometimes you will, don't just move on. Look back. Reverse engineer the relapse. What led to it? What could you have done differently? What door did you walk through without realizing it? This isn't about blame. This is about strategy. You're learning yourself. You're studying the battlefield. You're turning on the lights in a room that's kept you blind for too long. Because the truth is, most people stay trapped not because they're weak, but because they're unaware. They think they just fail out of nowhere. They think they lose control. But every fall is predictable if you start paying attention. And every pattern can be broken when it's understood. So get curious about your triggers. Not fearful, not ashamed. Curious. Because when you know what tempts you, you can start building a life that leads you away from those moments, not straight into them. And that's what freedom is made of. Not just big breakthroughs, but small decisions, over and over again, to step away from what pulls you down and step toward what lifts you up. So pay attention. Not just to what you're doing, but to what you're feeling, what you're thinking, where you are, what just happened. That awareness will become your weapon. Because when you can see the trap coming, you can walk the other way. And every time you do that, even once, you're not just avoiding failure. You're rewiring your brain. You're building strength. You're becoming free. Replace, don't just remove. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to quit porn is thinking that removing it is enough. They uninstall the apps. They block the websites. They throw out the old hard drives. They go on digital detoxes. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, it works. But then it happens. The emptiness creeps in. The urges rise again. The triggers return. And since nothing has filled the space that porn used to occupy, the craving rushes back even stronger. Because here's the truth. You can't just delete an addiction. You have to replace it. You have to give your mind something better to hold on to. You have to give your body something real to experience. You have to give your heart something meaningful to love again. Porn may be fake, but the needs it temporarily satisfies are real. The need for connection, the need for pleasure, the need for comfort, the need for escape, the need to feel something. And if you take away the porn without filling those needs in a healthier way, the system collapses. Because your brain will go back to the only source it knows. Not because it wants to, but because it has nothing else. So don't just remove the bad, replace it with good. Start with your routines. If porn used to show up in your evenings, replace it with something intentional. Start reading, go to the gym, take a cold shower, journal, meditate, stretch, paint, play an instrument, learn a new skill, fill the hours with something that feeds you, not something that drains you. If your phone used to be the weapon, turn it into a tool. Instead of scrolling aimlessly, use it to listen to podcasts that grow you. Watch videos that inspire you. Call a friend. Start an online course. Use your device for creation, not consumption. If your triggers are tied to emotion, stress, sadness, boredom, create new coping mechanisms. Develop a personal toolkit, a go-to playlist, a breathing exercise, a walk route, a friend you can text, a mantra you can repeat. Build rituals that calm the storm without drowning in it. Because porn isn't just a bad habit, it's a counterfeit solution. And the best way to stop using a counterfeit is to find something real. Find real connection. Start spending time with people again. Not behind a screen, but in real life. Join a club. Volunteer. Talk to your siblings. Rebuild your relationship with your parents. Hang out with friends. Meet new ones. You may feel socially awkward, insecure, or anxious. And that's okay. Push through. Human connection is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Find real pleasure. No, not sexual. Real. Deep. Pure. The kind that comes from playing a sport, swimming, dancing, cooking, building something with your hands. Rediscover joy that comes without shame. Because your brain needs to know that pleasure doesn't only come with a price tag of regret. Train it to crave the kind of satisfaction that leaves you better, not broken. Find real purpose. Most people stuck in addiction are also stuck in life. No direction, no goals, no mission, just floating, surviving, waiting for something to change. But recovery demands movement, so set goals. Big or small. Learn a new language. Start a YouTube channel. Write, code, build, work on your body. Work on your mind. When your life is filled with purpose, your urges lose their power. And maybe the most important, find real healing. Because if porn was your way of numbing pain, you can't just quit it and ignore the pain underneath. You have to face it. You have to sit with it. You have to heal it. That might mean therapy. It might mean journaling your trauma. It might mean forgiving someone. It might mean forgiving yourself. But the deeper you go into your wounds, the more power you take away from your addiction. Because porn doesn't just live in your behavior. It lives in your unspoken pain. When that pain is processed, the grip begins to loosen. And yes, replacing takes effort. It's not easy to build new habits. It's not comfortable to stretch your limits. It's not convenient to change your lifestyle. But neither is staying addicted. You have to choose your hard. Falling back into the same loop every night? That's hard. Waking up every day feeling guilty? That's hard. Losing your confidence, your focus, your relationships? That's hard. So why not choose the hard that actually sets you free? Build a new life, not just a life without porn, but a life so full that you no longer have space for it. Not because you're forcing yourself to stop, but because you've genuinely outgrown it. That's the goal. Not just to resist it, but to replace it. To become someone new. Someone whose time is full, whose mind is occupied, whose hands are building, whose heart is healing. Someone whose cravings are no longer a threat because they've been outnumbered by something greater. So make a list. Right now, write down 5 things you can start doing today to fill the time, energy, and emotions that porn used to consume. They don't have to be perfect, just real. And then, do them. Not once, not for a week. Keep showing up. Keep replacing. Keep rewiring. Because recovery isn't just about what you stop doing. It's about what you start doing instead. 6. Block access and reduce temptation. Let's be real. If you keep giving yourself easy access to porn, you're going to keep watching it. It doesn't matter how strong your willpower is. It doesn't matter how sincere your intentions are. You can be motivated, focused, and full of fire one moment, but when temptation hits, if access is easy, resistance usually crumbles. This is not because you're weak. It's because you're human. And humans are wired to follow the path of least resistance, especially when it comes to addictive behaviors. So if you're serious about quitting, if you're serious about getting free, then you have to stop trying to fight temptation in the moment and start preparing for it before it even shows up. You have to block the access. You have to reduce the temptation. You have to remove the fuel, because without fuel, the fire can't burn. Start with your devices, your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your gaming console. These are not just tools. In the wrong moments, they're triggers. They're traps. They're access points to relapse. So don't just hope you'll be strong. Be smart. Be strategic. Install blockers, not just the basic ones you can bypass. Use real accountability software like Covenant Eyes, Custodio, NetNanny, or Cold Turkey. Apps that actually report your activity to someone else. Apps that make it harder to fall. Set app limits, restrict browser access, disable incognito mode, lock down the settings. Put passwords on certain features. And give the password to someone you trust. Move your device chargers out of the bedroom. Set screen curfews. Turn off your internet at night if you have to. These aren't childish things. These are wise things. Because willpower is limited, but preparation can last all day. Delete the apps you know are gateways. You already know what they are. The ones where the scrolling starts innocent, but always ends in temptation. The apps that recommend just one more video. The ones with suggestive content that lead your mind exactly where you're trying to escape from. Social media can be a blessing, but for many, it's a trigger zone. So clean it out. Unfollow the accounts that push the boundaries. Stop watching shows that constantly sexualize everything. Unsubscribe from the channels that blur the line, even if they're popular, even if everyone watches them. You're not everyone. You're someone on a mission to be free. And freedom requires sacrifice. You can't have freedom and comfort. You have to pick one. You can't keep all the same habits and expect different results. You can't walk the same path and not expect to end up in the same place. If late nights are your weakness, set a bedtime. If loneliness triggers you, don't isolate. If certain places lead you to relapse, change where you hang out, even inside your own house. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. Make your space a place of strength, not struggle. Put motivational quotes on your walls. Keep your room clean. Add light. Remove clutter. Set it up like a place where change is happening, not a hiding place for addiction. And when you know a trigger is coming, prepare in advance. If you know nights are the hardest, create a night routine that protects you. If you know weekends feel empty, fill them up ahead of time. Don't wait until the urge hits. Anticipate it. Outplan it. Outsmart it. Temptation is strongest when you're unprepared and unguarded. And here's something important. This is not about fear. You're not doing all this because porn is some monster you're terrified of. You're doing this because you're building boundaries that protect your healing. You're respecting yourself enough to not keep walking into situations that break you. Would a recovering alcoholic keep a bottle on their nightstand? Would someone trying to lose weight keep junk food in every cabinet? Would someone with a gambling problem sleep in a casino? Of course not, because real change means removing real temptation. And for some people, the moment I say that, their pride speaks up. I don't need all that. I should be stronger than this. I don't want to rely on blockers or limits. But that's not strength. That's ego. Real strength is knowing your limits. Real wisdom is making it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong thing. You're not building these limits because you're weak. You're building them because you're serious. Because this isn't just about avoiding porn. It's about rebuilding your life. And you don't rebuild on shaky ground. You clear the rubble. You pour a foundation. You design a space that supports your growth. Every blocker you install, every app you delete, every routine you change, that's part of the foundation. It's not about living in fear of relapse. It's about creating an environment where your best self can finally breathe. So take inventory. Right now, what devices need limits? What apps need to go? What sites need to be blocked? What habits need to be adjusted? What rooms, people, or patterns are pulling you back into the fire? Make the list, then act on it. Today, not tomorrow. Because every day you wait is another day, you give temptation a chance to win. Block the access. Reduce the temptation. Not because you don't trust yourself, but because you're committed to building a version of yourself that no longer has to fight this battle every single day. That version of you is possible. And the path to that version? It starts with 100 small choices to make the wrong thing harder and the right thing easier. 7, get accountability and support. You can try to do this alone. You can try to fight every urge in silence. You can try to white-knuckle your way through every weak moment, hiding the struggle, putting on a brave face, pretending it's not that bad. But eventually, it catches up. Because healing was never meant to happen in isolation. Freedom was never meant to be a solo mission. You don't beat addiction by pretending you're strong enough to fight it without help. You beat it by being brave enough to say, I can't do this alone anymore. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. The truth is, porn addiction thrives in secrecy. It grows in the shadows. It feeds on silence. The more hidden it is, the more power it has over you. But when you bring it into the light, when you speak it, share it, admit it, the shame starts to break. The grip starts to loosen. The weight starts to lift. And this is why accountability matters. Not just filters. Not just blockers. Not just solo promises whispered in the dark, but real people. Real connection. Someone who sees you and someone who's allowed to check in, ask hard questions, and remind you who you are when you forget. Because in your weakest moments, you don't need judgment. You need perspective. You don't need someone to scold you. You need someone to hold you accountable to your higher self, to remind you that this fight is worth it, that you're not alone, that falling doesn't mean failing, but hiding always leads to deeper wounds. So find someone, a mentor, a close friend, a sibling, a support group, a counselor, someone who is safe, someone who understands, someone who won't panic when you're honest, someone who can handle the truth and still stand beside you. And when you find them, be real. Drop the filters. Drop the performance. Tell them what you're struggling with. Tell them what you're afraid of. Tell them how often you fall. Tell them what your triggers are. And most importantly, ask for help. Say it. I want to stop. I'm tired of this cycle. I need someone to walk with me. I can't keep doing this alone. Those words are heavy, but they are powerful because they break the isolation. They shatter the silence, and they start something new, relationship. You see, accountability isn't about control. It's about connection. It's not about someone watching your every move. It's about someone walking with you so you don't fall alone. It's about progress, not perfection. Support, not surveillance. Because let's be honest, there will be days when you feel strong. And there will be days when you feel crushed. There will be days when the urge feels like a whisper, and days when it feels like a hurricane. But on those days when your strength runs out, someone else can carry the weight for a while. Sometimes, all it takes is a text. Bro, I'm struggling right now. Or a phone call. Hey, I'm close to falling. Talk to me. And just like that, you're not alone anymore. Accountability gives you anchors. It gives you perspective. It gives you honesty. It gives you a mirror to see how far you've come, even when you don't feel it. It gives you encouragement when your own voice turns against you. It gives you community, and community is where long-term healing lives. There are even entire groups built for this. NoFap forums, online support groups, faith-based men's groups, Discord servers, Telegram channels, subreddits dedicated to recovery, therapists who specialize in addiction, programs that pair you with accountability partners. If there's no one in your life right now, go find the right people. They're out there, people who've been through what you're going through, people who've relapsed 100 times and still stood back up, people who will not only listen, but lead you, walk with you, fight for you. You were never meant to carry this alone. You were never meant to fight this in the dark, at least. And you were never meant to heal in isolation. Because addiction is personal, but recovery is communal. And yes, it will feel scary at first. Telling someone your darkest struggle, admitting what you've never said out loud, that takes insane courage. But it's the kind of courage that opens the door to real change. Because here's the truth. When no one knows, relapse feels easier. When no one checks in, the cycle feels safer. When no one is walking with you, the weight feels unbearable. But when you know someone's going to ask how you're doing, when you know someone cares enough to check in, when you know someone is fighting for you behind the scenes, suddenly the urge isn't just about you anymore. You remember the mission. You remember the people. You remember the reason you're fighting. And that, right there, is the fuel to keep going. So find support. Build accountability. Stop trying to be the lone soldier. You're not proving anything by suffering in silence. You're only prolonging the pain. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in connection. So speak up. Reach out. Let someone in. And let that be the day the darkness started to lose its power. Cut 8. Celebrate progress, not just perfection. Recovery is not a straight line. It's not a one-time decision. It's not a perfect streak. It's a process, a journey, a transformation. And if you don't learn to celebrate progress, even when it's small, you'll burn out chasing perfection. Too many people fall into this trap. They try to quit porn and say, I'll never watch it again. And when they relapse, they feel like everything's ruined. All their effort, gone. All their progress, lost. All their hope, shattered. But that's a lie. Because falling once doesn't erase the days you stood tall. One bad night doesn't delete the growth you've made. You are not back at zero. You are not starting over. You are still becoming, still changing, still fighting. This is why it's so important to learn this truth. Freedom isn't found in being perfect. Freedom is found in not quitting. The journey to healing is messy. Some weeks will be strong, some days will be beautiful, some nights will feel impossible. But through it all, you are learning how to rise again, and that is worth celebrating. Maybe you used to watch porn every day, now it's once a week. Maybe you used to give in instantly, now you pause and resist. Maybe you used to feel completely controlled, now you feel yourself slowly getting stronger. That's progress. It might not be perfect, but it's real, it's measurable, and it matters. Don't wait until you're completely free to celebrate the fight. Celebrate the steps, the effort, the intention, the heart. Because when you celebrate progress, you reinforce it. You teach your brain, this feels good, let's keep going. You shift the focus from punishment to purpose, from failure to formation, from what you did wrong to how far you've come. So instead of saying, I only made it 3 days, say I made it 3 days further than I used to. Instead of saying, I fell again, say I got back up again. Instead of saying, I'm not there yet, say I'm closer than I've ever been. Because you are. Every moment you resist, even if just for 5 minutes, you're creating a new path in your brain. Every time you choose to go for a walk instead of giving in, you're reclaiming power. Every time you message someone and say, hey, I need help right now, you're breaking the shame. Every journal entry, every prayer, every new habit, every honest conversation, that's real recovery. You may not feel the change instantly, but healing doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up quietly in how you react differently, in how you carry yourself with more confidence, in how your eyes are clearer, in how you're learning to sit with your emotions, not run from them. And maybe the biggest proof of progress, you're still here. You're still trying. You're still watching videos like this. You're still hungry for change. You still believe, deep down, that freedom is possible, even if you've fallen 100 times. And that belief, that's everything. Because no one becomes free by accident. You become free because you refuse to give up. You become free because you start to believe you're worth the fight. You become free because you stop chasing perfection and start building consistency. Perfection says you have to get it right every single time. Consistency says you keep showing up no matter what. Perfection leads to shame. Consistency leads to strength. So start measuring differently. Don't count how many days since your last relapse. Count how many days you chose growth. Don't define yourself by a streak. Define yourself by your effort, your honesty, your heart. And yes, still set goals, still aim high, still build streaks, still track progress. But don't make those numbers your identity. You're not just a counter. You're not just a success story waiting to happen. You're a real human, healing, becoming, and learning to love yourself again. Celebrate every win. Not just the big ones, the small ones. The night you put the phone down and walked away. The day you journaled instead of relapsing. The hour you sat in silence and didn't run from your pain. Those wins matter. Those wins stack. Those wins change the wiring of your mind and the rhythm of your heart. And the more you celebrate progress, the more progress you'll create. Because this journey is long. It's not about sprinting to the finish line. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't give up when it gets hard. And that's who you are. You're not here for a perfect record. You're here for a new story. A better one. One where you fought, failed, learned, adapted, rose again, and won. So be proud of every step, forgive every fall, and keep your eyes on the truth. You are changing. You might not feel it today, but keep going. Keep showing up. Keep celebrating the climb. Because every inch forward, even when it feels small, is still freedom being built. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the real victory wasn't in being perfect. It was in never giving up. So here you are. You've heard the truths. You've walked through the battle plan. And now you're standing at the edge of a choice. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. This isn't just another motivational video. This isn't just more advice. This is a mirror, a moment of clarity, a reminder that deep inside you is someone fighting to come back to life. Because porn didn't just steal your time, it stole your identity. It convinced you that you were weak, that you were dirty, that you were unworthy of love, discipline, or purpose. But that was a lie. You were never broken. You were never too far gone. You were just stuck in a cycle you didn't know how to escape. And now, you do. You don't have to stay in the dark. You don't have to keep pretending everything's fine while you're falling apart inside. You don't have to keep waking up with shame and sleeping with regret. You can change. You can heal. You can start again. No, it won't be easy. There will be setbacks. There will be nights that break you. There will be moments you feel like giving up. But every time you choose to keep going, even when it hurts, you take one more step out of the pit. You begin to rebuild your mind, your habits, your soul. Not perfectly, but powerfully. And over time, you'll start to see it. Your cravings will quiet, your mind will clear, your energy will return, your confidence will rise, your eyes will shine again, you'll walk into rooms taller, you'll speak with clarity, you'll feel peace where there used to be chaos, you'll find joy in the simple things, you'll feel proud to look yourself in the mirror, because the man or woman who refused to give up will begin to emerge from the ruins. And you'll realize something beautiful, that this battle was not a curse. It was your awakening. It broke your pride. It humbled you. It taught you to feel again, to love again, to believe again. And most of all, it gave you a story of pain, a story of failure, but also a story of redemption. One day, someone will need to hear it. Someone younger, someone struggling, someone lost. And you'll look them in the eye and say, I was there once, but I didn't stay there, and neither will you. That moment will be your legacy. But for now, this is your moment. This is where it starts. So don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until the timing is perfect. Don't wait until everything feels easy. Start where you are, with what you have. Right now, throw out the shame, block the access, create new habits, ask for help, be honest. Fall and rise again. Because this isn't just about quitting porn. This is about becoming someone who no longer needs it. This is about becoming free, mind, body, soul. So breathe deep, stand tall, and take the first step. You're not alone, you never were, and now you never have to be again. Your healing has already begun. And the best days of your life are waiting on the other side of this fight. So go, not to chase perfection, but to become the kind of person who refused to quit. This is your turning point. This is your new chapter. This is your freedom story. And it begins now.